The movie begins and we see Jacob, who is a priest in the church, giving a lesson. In this lesson, he teaches couples how to treat their wives the way Christ treats his church. After finishing the lesson and people leave, Jacob and his wife Anne talk to a girl from the town named Amelia. They ask her why her mother has stopped coming to church and attending the lessons, and they learn that she stopped because she returned to drinking again and that Amelia is worried about her. Jacob suggests that he might visit them at home and talk with her if she agrees. Amelia thanks them, and they leave. When Amelia is at home, she hears a strange and loud sound. When she turns around, she doesn't see anything, but when she continues her way back, she finds that the sound is coming from many pigs and she starts running. Suddenly, she hears a woman's voice calling her name. When she turns to ask who it is, she doesn't see anyone or get a response, so she runs home. But suddenly, someone appears, grabs her by the neck, and they disappear suddenly. The next morning, Officer Mike calls Jacob and tells him that Amelia is missing and no one knows anything about her. Jacob realizes that she was supposed to visit them at their home today to talk with her mother because she returned to drinking again, and Amelia was worried about her. Mike thinks that she left the country and left because living alone with a father or mother who is an alcoholic is difficult. That same evening, Jacob and his wife Anne are having dinner with his brother and his wife Carol. His brother and wife believe that Amelia surely did nothing wrong and that she might have run away with her boyfriend because she is a teenager. Later, we see Anne at night thinking and being upset about her life, not happy, and she thinks that Jacob no longer loves her. The next morning, Anne tells Jacob that she is going to meet her old boyfriend Tom Louis today, and they will have lunch together and talk about the design. But Jacob is upset because no one will be happy and his wife is meeting her ex-husband since no one will be happy about that, but he remains silent and cannot speak at all. He just tells her to tell Tom that he is saying hello and then he goes to his work. Later, Anne meets Tommy and they talk about ancient times, and Tommy is surprised when he learns that Anne married Jacob because when she was young, she had many plans and that is why they left their hometown and traveled around the world. After that, Tommy takes her to the factory to see the mill that will be designed for her. There, when they enter and see the place, Tommy says that the reason he agreed to this project and that he is managing it is himself. They look at each other and then they leave, and while leaving, they hear loud noise, so they leave the place again to see what's going on. They see two large boxes appearing because they did not see them when they were inside, but this does not annoy Tommy because all he wants is to continue his relationship with Anne. But she suddenly stops him and tells him that she still has feelings for him but she cannot do that with her husband Jacob, and before she can explain more, they hear a loud sound coming from the boxes. Tom decides to go open them and finds a large rat inside the box. As soon as he opens the second box, he finds hundreds of mice that jump at him and start eating him. And starts running when she sees this scene and tries to escape, but she is grabbed by the same thing that grabbed Amelia before. At home, Jacob is very worried because Anne is late and calls Bob to see if he can come to the house now. At that time, he hears the door opening and finds Anne. He asks her where she was and why she was late. She tells him that she was at the mill and that she is exhausted and wants to go to sleep. The next morning, Anne is doing her exercises and starts making strange movements and starts looking in the mirrors, asking who you are and what you want. When Jacob returns home, she asks him to go out for dinner, but Anne does not want to eat, so she eats something simple and stops. The next morning, Anne goes to the supermarket and stops at the meat section. She tastes blood from one of the cuts and buys only animal blood. No one suspects this, but it happens. When she goes, she starts drinking the blood in a glass of wine and starts dancing after she turns on the music. She begins to feel much stronger and lifts the couch by itself. She starts dancing with the couch and moving it from its place, but suddenly feels like she wants to return and starts reverting all the blood she drank. She decides to take a shower and has 2 bites on her neck. When she starts touching them, she hears the same voice of the woman who called her before. When she decides to look out of her bathroom window, she finds many pigs, or rats, around the bathroom and also sees from a distance the same thing that called her by name. At that time, Jacob goes to Bob's house to talk with him about Anne and is very worried about her because her behaviors have recently become strange. He tells him that it didn't start happening until she met Tommy, but Bob does not imagine that Anne might be cheating on him. But he suggests that he talks with Tommy and asks him to stay away from his wife. The next day, Anne is gardening and suddenly sees a big worm, so she eats it. After that, she goes to the dentist, who tells her that she is developing a new ear and that it is something strange and rare but it happens. The dentist tells her that she now needs to straighten her teeth with ultraviolet rays, and when she starts doing that, her mouth starts burning and turns black. This is because of the ultraviolet light, and she runs away from the machine and starts running home. At that time, Jacob goes to Tommy's factory and finds there 2 young men who always annoy him outside the church. One of them is named Oscar, and he tells Jacob to go to hell along with his preaching. He tells Oscar that Ellie, his friend, said they should let the old man walk alone, but Oscar teases him while he tries to apologize. Suddenly, Amelia jumps out, but no one sees where she comes from, and she attacks Oscar, bites him, and drinks his blood, thus realizing that she has become a vampire. Then she tells Jacob that she has found a new savior whose name is the Lady, and she gave her power instead of fear. She tells him that in reality, this lady lives in his house. Jacob tries to push her away from him and uses the church seal, which pushes her away but not much, but she manages to tease him. Ellie teases her, and she runs because of that, and Ellie suggests that they go to the police. Jacob returns home quickly to see his wife and is scared. At that time, Anne is standing at the window, and their neighbor Adam thinks from her appearance that she has a nervous shock or a heart attack, so he runs to help her. But when he enters, she is nothing more than a vampire wanting to drink blood, so she decides to attack him and bites him on the neck and starts drinking his blood. But before she finishes and drinks his blood, Jacob arrives, and when he enters the house, he sees her drinking the blood on the floor. She tries to convince him that it is not her and tells him that there is a vampire inside her. She tells him about what happened the day she saw Tommy. She shows him the bite marks on her neck, and despite what he saw, he believes her words and starts cleaning the blood from the floor. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, and when he opens the door, it's Officer Mike, who tells him that a girl named Ellie came to the police station and reported that a vampire killed her boyfriend. She also tells him that Jacob was there when it happened, and at that time, while telling him, Jacob denies it, and they both laugh, saying that surely this girl is on drugs and was hallucinating. After the officer leaves, Jacob talks with Anne and asks her why she didn't tell him all this from the beginning. Maybe he could have helped her. She tells him that she was shocked, and they take the body and bury it in their backyard garden. After that, they think about how they could have killed the lady and made Anne return to her normal life. That same night, Jacob and Anne go to the mill to kill the lady. There, they find Amelia, who tries to attack Jacob. But he sprinkles her with holy water, which makes her start burning and she becomes scared like other vampires. Anne attacks Amelia from behind and asks Jacob to kill her, but he refuses and tells her that they came only to kill the lady and preserve Amelia's life as well. But she does not listen and kills Amelia herself, so Jacob leaves Anne at the mill and goes out and tells her that she did that to herself and that she has become a monster. He decides to leave her there and return home, but when he returns home, he can't sleep and decides to go get Anne, but the lady is waiting for him there. She makes him grab a knife and put it on his neck. When Anne arrives, the lady asks her either to die or to thrive. She starts injuring Jacob to tempt Anne to drink his blood, and Jacob tries to make Anne stay away from him, and indeed, she does not bite him. In the next few days, Anne's body starts to die, and they have to kill the lady faster or she will die completely if she does not drink human blood, and time is running out. Anne tells Jacob that all she thinks about now is blood, so he tells her that he has an idea that will make her relax and calm down completely. They start smoking marijuana cigarettes together, and the result is truly effective. They calm down and are very high. At that time, they receive a call from their friend, who asks them to go check on his mother and inform him when they arrive. When they get there, they find the woman dead. Jacob is happy and decides that they will take the body with them in the car trunk home so that Anne can drink her blood there. But by luck, one of the neighbors sees them and reports the police. When the police arrive at the house, they leave Jacob and Anne with the body and go to the mill to kill the lady. But while on the way, Officer Mike stops him and sees all the killing tools he has with him and decides to arrest him and take him to the station. Jacob tries to explain that there is a real vampire, but he is not believed. At that time, Bob and Carol have not seen Jacob and Anne for a week and decide to go visit them suddenly. When they arrive, they see Anne drinking the woman's blood and call the police. Officer Mike hears the report on his radio as he is going to the station with Jacob, so he decides to take him back home. Carol cannot stand the blood, so she goes outside, and Bob tries to follow her, but Anne tells him that she did not do that. But he goes out, and the lady manages to kill him in front of Anne. She asks Anne what she wants, and she wants to live a long and good life, and the lady looks like a rat with a human body. She tells her that if she can suck her blood, she can intervene inside her, controlling her hunger, and in return, she will live the life she had always wished for. At that time, Mike and Jacob arrive with the police and start firing at the lady, but she is not affected and approaches them. At that moment, the neighbor who had buried her extends his hand and grabs her by her leg. The lady tells her that she needs to make a decision now and goes to her, but before she can drink her blood, Jacob stabs her, and from her blood, he draws a cross on her head, causing her to burn. She turns into an ordinary rat, and when he sees that, The officer decides to let Jacob handle it because he is just a police officer, not a vampire hunter. Jacob and Anne talk to each other and say that they will live as a normal couple and that they will not harm each other, but the reality is that the movie ends with them trying to kill each other.